Hi, my name's Lachlan, and today I'm going to try to describe the physical experience of a disability known as cerebral palsy. Now, the type of cerebral palsy I have is known as quadriplegic cerebral palsy, but there are various types, and essentially what cerebral palsy itself refers to is a neuromuscular condition which affects the part of the brain that is supposed to regulate movement and muscular tension. My cerebral palsy is the result of complications at birth which damaged that part of my brain, but that's not the only way it can come about. The first thing I should explain is that quadriplegic is a very often misunderstood term. When most people hear the term quadriplegic, they think that it means someone who can't move their body at all. And although this very often is what it means, that's not the only thing it means. Essentially, quadriplegic means a condition in which all limbs of the body are affected. It does not specifically mean that they are of no use at all. So, as I said, I'm going to try and tell you what, at least from my perspective, having cerebral palsy feels like. Now, let's get one thing out the way first. A lot of people, when they first see me, this is strangers I'm talking about, so people who've never interacted with me in person before, assume me to be mentally handicapped in some way. And although I could simply write that off as shallow mindedness or bigotry, there are legitimate reasons to think there might be something mentally amiss with me. My cerebral palsy has the effect of making me move oddly. That is because, as I said, my brain does not properly regulate muscular tension or movement. As a rule, my movements tend to be jerky and kind of robotic almost, because unlike a regular person who generally moves, or at least is capable of moving without conscious thought, in order to do even the most basic physical task, I have to consciously focus on what I'm doing, or I will get it wrong. Even the way I'm speaking to you right now is measured and controlled because muscular tension also means the way I'm able to breathe and control the volume and cadence of my voice. I had to have intensive speech therapy lessons as a child for many years in order to learn to speak in a way that normal people could understand. It took me much longer than the average child to be able to articulate speech clearly and normally. That is another reason why people may think that I'm mentally handicapped, because particularly when I'm upset or under stress, my speech impediment will return, and you could consider it like trying to understand a person who has had too much to drink. Another aspect of cerebral palsy that most people don't know about because they've never experienced it is that it comes with a level of unavoidable physical pain because part of my body is always under stress and in some sort of tension. I'm never fully relaxed because I can't be. Even speaking like this to make a video, I'm more tense than I otherwise would be. That is why I might stumble over a word occasionally or stutter somewhat. Um, when you have a lifelong disability, which is what mine is, you develop an unusual relationship to pain in that you get used to living with it and you become accustomed to certain kinds of pain. In fact, if I woke up one morning and I didn't hurt at all, I would think that something had gone seriously wrong with me and I would seek medical attention. Pain also has a very meaningful effect on one's daily life. I have a very dark and often morbid sense of humor, which I know for a lot of people who have encountered me can be uncomfortable and somewhat jarring. I don't make uh, dark jokes or employ gallows humor simply to be shocking. Gallows humor is very much a coping mechanism for someone in my position. Because if you can make a joke out of something painful and really unfair, it lessens the burden that that condition places upon you. Now, I know that it's difficult for an average person who's never experienced any of these things to understand what I'm trying to convey in words. But words are really the only way I can show you what this is like. Because even if you spent an hour, a day, or a week playing around in a wheelchair, that wouldn't show you what this life is really like. Because in order to understand what life with a severe disability is really like, one would have to break the law and torture people. Because the reason that giving a normal person a wheelchair to mess around in doesn't really um, change their mindset is that if you know that at any point you are tired of being in the wheelchair, you can simply get up and walk away, then you haven't really learned anything. The true understanding of disability, particularly one as severe as mine, is wanting to get up and do something like any average person would, and having to face the very clear realization that it doesn't matter how much you want to, you simply can't. I think that's where I'll stop with the explanation for today. I hope that it is, at least in some way, useful to you, and for now, farewell.